Recently, I posted a video titled The Deathmatch Wrestling Degenerates, and I got a lot of comments asking why I didn't include a man named Ian Rotten. Now, I had no idea who Ian Rotten was, but upon research, I might have just found one of the biggest wrestling degenerates out there. And he needs his own video. So today, I'm going to tell you all about Ian Rotten, a former wrestler and founder of IWA Mid South. Before we get into it though, be sure to like and subscribe if you do enjoy the video. I'll give you until the count of 3 to do that. And let's get into the video. Ian Rotten debuted in 1990 and for the first couple years in his career would wrestle mainly around the Maryland and Texas territories, going by the name Johnny Lawler, storyline son of Jerry the King Lawler. He debuted for ECW in 1993 and his name was changed to what we know it as today of Ian Rotten. He was paired with Axel Rotten and they would go under the tag team name of The New Breed. Sorry, I'm literally recording it now and I've just realised it's The Bad Breed. The New Breed was like Elijah Burke's stable in WWE CW. He wrestled in ECW until 1995, mainly used as a tag wrestler, but towards the end of his ECW career was wrestling a few singles death matches and also began to make appearances for IWA Japan, foreshadowing. He wrestled for more indies and for BJW in Japan before 1996, and after being fired from ECW, Ian Rotten moved to Kentucky, and in the year of 1996, he would found IWA Mid South, a hardcore car crash indie promotion that mainly used old ECW guys and would run various deathmatch events and matches. They ran around the Kentucky area until the year 2000 when IWA Mid South moved to Indiana, and the next decade for IWA Mid South, just some absolute craziness would go down. The year 2000 saw Dave Prazak make numerous appearances as a manager for IWA Mid South, and he was instrumental in bringing in top indie talent for the company. Chris Hero, CM Punk, and his best friend Colt Cabana, just to name a few. It would be this year that Chris Hero and CM Punk had a 92-minute match, which is regarded as one of the greatest indie wrestling matches ever. And yeah, for the next decade, IWA Mid South just did stuff like this. You know, pretty tame stuff. IWA Mid South had really established themselves as a top indie promotion with a cult following. They were running regular events and getting good talent. But as you can guess, things are soon gonna go tits up. And in 2008, IWA Mid South would become subject to a police investigation. At IWA Mid South Queen of the Death Matches 2008, a match was set to take place between Mickey Knuckles and Mike Levi, and throughout the course of this match was just so uncomfortable, because Mickey was just delivering some stiff punches and weapon shots to Levi throughout the entire match, even shoot headbutting him to the point of there being a lump in her head. She won the match, and then afterwards, this happened.
So that was the whole match, but now get ready because this is the worst beatdown I've ever seen in wrestling history. It is very violent, so I'm giving you a warning. Tank and Devin Moore come out and decide they want to take some liberties on Mike for how he wasn't selling in the match. As if that wasn't enough, Ian comes out and starts hitting him with a fucking crutch. Even the owner's 12-year-old son came out and started beating Mike with a stick.
So what you just saw there was Ian Rotten, wrestlers Devon Moore and Tank, as well as Ian Rotten's preteen son, who was now a wrestler known as JC Rotten, run out and shoot attack Mike Levi. Levi at the time was still a rookie, by the way. This incident prompted the Indiana police to investigate, and of course, major backlash. Ian Rotten claims that he told Levi up front that he was going to get a heavy beating and take an ass whooping. Maybe not leaving him in puddles of blood was what Levi expected, but nonetheless, no charges were filed. However, the next year, IWA Mid South would announce that they would be ceasing operations following their Kings of the Crimson Mask show in August of 2009. And following the show, that's what would happen. It was the farewell show for IWA Mid South. Until November of that year, when it was announced that IWA Mid South wasn't closing down and would return with smaller budget shows. So basically, this is something that Ian Rotten did a lot. He would announce that a show would be the company's last so that it would sell out quick, and then he'd have the money to run more shows, and pretty much just had zero intention of that show actually being the last the entire time. Yeah, something he did frequently, and you're about to hear more about it. A year and a half later, after its return in March 2011, it was announced again that IWA Mid South would be closing down. But yep, you guessed it, IWA Mid South returned 3 months later, but this time they had returned under new ownership. Ian Rotten was no longer promoting, which is seemingly a step in the right direction for IWA Mid South. A good move for them, but guess what? IWA announced that they were closing down again, and then in July of 2013, Ian Rotten announced that IWA Mid South was back, and that he was also back as the promoter of it all again. What was actually the point? And in case you're wondering, IWA have not changed. Going into the 2020s, they were heavily criticized for running wrestling shows in the height of the pandemic with fans in attendance and no social distancing. At the time, when not even AEW and WWE were at the point of having fans in attendance yet. Their world champion Jake Christ posted to Twitter just last year demanding that Ian Rotten pay him in a statement, and also posted a video of him burning his IWA belts that he currently holds. IWA's response to this, they cancelled all their upcoming events, leaving them on a hiatus yet again. Will they come back? Knowing their history, yeah, probably, but that's more or less the story of IWA Mid South. Hopefully so far. But as for Ian Rotten, there's still more to discuss with this guy, because once again, this guy is just a degenerate. So without further ado, here's a list of more things that Ian Rotten did. He shot on other wrestlers. Yes, Mike Levi wasn't the only one. He did it to Peter B. Beautiful in 2001 in a match against him, and did the same to diehard Stephen Lee. He allegedly has hepatitis C, which is very worrying as he blades in pretty much every match he does, and bleeds profusely all over his opponents. Oh yeah, and speaking of shoots, remember that Mickey Knuckles girl from before who was part of the Mike Levi match? Well, she broke her leg on an IWA Mid South show in a very gruesome moment. It's probably one of IWA Mid South's most watched and most well-known moments, and it's also a moment that Rotten supposedly promised Knuckles he wouldn't release. And as you just heard me say, it's probably one of the most well-known IWA Mid South clips of all time, so you know how that went. Generally, Rotten is just a carny, falsely advertising his shows, shooting on rookies, using untrained wrestlers, not paying wrestlers, booking himself to go over people and beat people up. He's just an overall scumbag. He got wrestlers banned from various venues, and finally, perhaps the worst of it all, is that Ian Rotten often worked with JC Bailey, who was a deathmatch wrestler who tragically passed away in 2010 due to a brain aneurysm caused by his concussion history. He had his problems with drugs, and allegedly, Ian Rotten was no help to this, and used to pay him in drugs to be on his shows. It's just pure scumbaggery, isn't it? While IWA Mid South is probably going to come back, here's hoping Ian Rotten does not come back with them.